Hey, and welcome to the Jessica Paul podcast. I'm your host, Jess Paul, actress, manifestation expert, and mindset coach. And I'm here to share with you all of my secrets on confidence, success, and the magic of manifestation. If you're ready to dive in deep and see more success in your career, more money in your bank account, and more love in your life with a whole new level of freedom, then you're in the right place. I'm letting loose on everything you need to take back control of your life, up-level your mindset, and tap into your manifestation powers. I'm so excited that you're here. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the JP podcast. It's me, your host, your manifestation mentor, your spiritual bestie, and all of the great things to help you manifest that life that you freaking love. So I'm hitting record today with my bestie sitting next to me. By my bestie, I mean my dog. Little Mabel, she's our family dog, and she's come to stay with me for a while. So I am really enjoying having my little friend here. So guys, today's episode, really excited about because we've got a guest expert on again for the first time in freaking ages. You guys know that I love my solo eps. Like, I do them mostly, but I want to start getting more guests back on the podcast again. And actually, this is an episode that so many of you, literally, I couldn't believe it. So many of you were DMing me about this only a few weeks beforehand. And me and my assistant Frankie had already contacted this amazing woman to chat to you all about human design. So this is something that so many of you have been asking me about, asking whether I'd heard about it, whether I use it as a tool in my own life and my own manifestation process. And yes, I do. I'm a generator. And for those of you that have never heard about human design, this is going to be the perfect episode for you because we go all the way back to the basics. We dive into it all for you guys. You can go and download your own chart and look at your chart. It's kind of like astrology where you can learn more about yourself. So we've got the amazing Sophie Williams on, and this lady, my gosh, she has just got such a wealth of knowledge. Like, it's insane how much she can talk to you about human design. And you can obviously as well in the show notes, her links are all in there. So you can go and give her a follow over on Instagram. But yes, we dive in today on all things human design. Cannot wait to bring you this episode. You're going to love it. But before we dive into this episode, we, of course, have our sponsor for this week, which is this money mastery course that I'm bringing to you. So this is a 6-week money manifestation course. And this is also another topic that so many of you ask me about again and again and again. How do we manifest money into our life? What even is money? How do we call it in? How do we attract it in? How do we become a magnet, right? And this is something that I'm very, very passionate about. I've manifested a great deal of wealth into my life over the past few years doing this work. And the reason being, honestly, guys, is because I fucking committed to it. And it's funny because I could have brought a money mindset course out years ago. And I never actually did it because I feel that the universe was maybe making me wait until this moment because I really feel the knowledge that I'm bringing in this course specifically is different to any other knowledge I've brought out before regarding money. So I've been diving back into my own money mindset over the past couple of weeks whilst I've been in creation mode for this. So at the moment I'm creating, I've literally just created a 33-minute money hypnosis and an 11-minute daily money meditation for you that are going to go inside this course. These are transformational, guys. I literally did them myself. And you're also getting live trainings every week. You're getting all the worksheets. You're getting access to me inside a private Facebook community. Like, it's going to be freaking next level, guys. And I cannot wait. Just cannot wait to get inside your energy as well and just create magic with you all again. It's been so long. So all you've got to do right now is just go ahead over to my show notes, click the link to sign up for the waitlist. When you sign up for the waitlist for this money course, guys, you're getting a bonus. I love rewarding everybody who signs up to waitlists because it shows how much you freaking want it. And you know what? We should all be rewarded for that. So go ahead, click on there now and make sure you're signed up because this course will be coming out very, very soon. So if you're not on the wait list, then you won't have access to this bonus. And keep your eyes out, keep your eyes peeled over on Instagram at I am Jessica Paul, and also on my mailing list. Make sure you're like signed up to my mailing list, because you'll be getting the emails about this when it does come out. But it's coming out for you very, very soon. So if you guys are ready from now until the end of this year to go in on your money mindset, to actually start calling in that abundance freaking finally, because my God, guys, this work so many of us need to do right now. So many of us are in fear right now over money. This is the perfect time for me to bring out this course. If you're ready to go ahead and do it, then sign up to the wait list. Can't wait to see your name there. And I will be out with more information very soon. So we have the gorgeous Sophie on today. Sophie is a human design teacher and a business mentor. She guides people towards the highest potential, truth, and expansion in their lives and businesses, teaching them how to achieve success by being who they truly are. She has a deep passion for human design and loves teaching it with others. You can find her and her learning programs at Sophie Louise Coaching over on Instagram. If you have any questions, then just let her know. So guys, without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. I hope you all enjoy it. Remember to tag us both over on Instagram. Share a screenshot of this episode over on your Instagram story. Let us know what your biggest takeaways are, and we can't wait to hear from you. Hi, Sophie. So lovely to have you on the podcast. How are you doing?
Hi, Jessica. I'm really excited. I'm doing good today. Thank you so much for having me.
Amazing. So honestly, I'm super excited about having you on. I was just saying to you before we hit record that really randomly, like most of my audience at the moment have been DMing me about human design, being like, have you heard about it before? Can you dive into this on the podcast? And I was like, guys, I've got you covered. Like, we were basically manifesting you to come on, me and my assistant. I was like, Frankie, how's it going with getting our human design lady on? And you are now here, and it's come at a really great time, because a lot of people, like I said, are wondering what the hell human design actually is and how we can use it. So I'm just thinking, like, before we even dive into a bit about you and your story, can you just tell everybody what is human design?
I'd love to. Like we were just talking about before we clicked record, it very much is a system which is so cool and so fascinating, and it's really popular at the moment because people really want to understand themselves. But it's also quite confusing when you first start reading or listening about it, because you're like, whoa, there's just so many elements to it. So I do really like to break it down in a very easily digestible and clear way. And also, I hope, in a way that excites people as well. So essentially, the way I describe human design is that it's the story of your energy and how you came here to thrive. So essentially, your human design shows you all that you are. So you've got your body graph, and that is essentially your design. That shows you where you hold your power, your potential, all the different energy within you. And it also shows you where you're open. So it shows you what you're not. So the beauty of human design is that it's basically saying that this is all you are. Play up to that, like play to your strengths, be all that you are, and see your life transform, and let go of trying to be the things that you're not. Like, don't try to be that. But ultimately, human design is a decision-making tool. Like, that's the fundamentals of it. If you use it for one thing only, use it to make decisions, because it essentially helps you become your own authority and trust in yourself. And what I say to people is that human design doesn't make your life perfect, but it basically leads you to the experiences you're meant to have, the people you're meant to meet, the business you're meant to run, the health you're meant to have, all these types of things, how you're supposed to feel in yourself. And it can feel so good. And I think, fundamentally, human design is here to set you free. It shows you all that you are. It shows you how to thrive, how to make decisions, how to move through life as you. And I'm going to break it down really, really, really simply in terms of like how to practically use it. It would be follow your strategy, follow your authority as like the first step. So if you're totally new to human design, just experiment with using your strategy and authority, because that's how you move through life and your decision-making process. So I'm sure we're going to talk about more about exactly what it is, but that's kind of how I would initially tell you what human design is.
Yeah, amazing. Because it's kind of like, from what I know of human design, it's a tool, isn't it, to help you learn more about yourself, to help you, to guide you on your journey of and for me as a manifestation coach, it's like I would use it to help guide me on my journey to manifesting more into my life, because when you know more about yourself, you're more able to call in what you desire. So it's kind of like, in a way, how astrology is for certain people that really go in on astrology. And I've had experts on the podcast with that before as well. And it's a different tool. And so I was saying to you as well before we hit record that yes, it can be so freaking confusing. Like when you download that chart and you're like, what on earth is going on this chart? Like, so we obviously want to like cover a few of those things today and, you know, help people with the basics of human design, help people understand what their design is and how they can use it to benefit themselves and to benefit their own manifestation journey as well. So, but first of all, though, I would love to hear more about you and your own story and how you even got into coaching on human design, how your business, you created your business, and you know your story as to why it means so much to you.
It's a really good question. So before coaching, before human design, I worked in HR. So I didn't go to university, just started working straight away in jobs I really didn't like. I mean, I think that's just like classic. I think a lot of people end up doing that. I was in jobs I really didn't like, but then I kind of ended up, I was an office manager, then a HR person. And then I essentially ended up working in like HR people culture. So very much like focused around like people, seeing them, guiding them for about 7 years. And then I was actually invited to go on a coaching like day workshop. Like, wow, this is really cool. I really like this. And so I ended up doing a certification and then realized that coaching alone wasn't really satisfying me, you know, like as a generator satisfaction, like feeling satisfied with the work you do. There was something missing. It was like I was missing some kind of tool, something, but I just didn't really know what it was yet. And then I just came across human design. It was during lockdown at the time, and I was living with my parents because I moved home. So I went through a couple of years of lots of different changes where I was like, okay, I want to run my own business. I want to do this. I have to make some big changes because I was living in London, paying lots of rent in my full-time job. And I was like, I need to quit my job. I need to do this. So I was taking all these steps, which felt like a big step back, but actually were amazing for me. And then I stumbled across human design at like an online wellness retreat. And I'd been into astrology for years, but it wasn't something I really wanted to implement in my work. It was just a fascination of mine that I love talking about and learning. And then, I just basically did a human design certification and became obsessed with it. And I didn't even do it to do it for work. I did it because I was just so fascinated by it. And I was like, I just want to learn this thing. And so I did like level 1, level 2, I did all this stuff and became like absolutely obsessed with it. And then suddenly I was like, why aren't I doing this in my business? Like I'm so into this. I feel like I really know it and I'm just going to continue knowing more and more about it. And that's when I started to experience big shifts in my business, was when I really listened to myself and I started trusting myself. But even at the beginning of that, it took me a little while to get to where I wanted to get with my business. And it wasn't until I was like, Sophie, stop comparing, stop the shoulds, stop doing all the things you're told to do, the rules, and just follow your design, and everything will become so much lighter and it will start to feel really good. And you're going to start to, again, like manifest, because I think human design is an amazing tool for manifestation. You're going to start to manifest what you desire. And I actually put a story on my Instagram yesterday where I was like, I had this moment on the weekend where I said to myself, whoa, and a friend, I'm actually living the life I dreamed of last year. Wow. Like exactly what I wanted. And I love it. But human design is so important to me because I just really didn't trust myself growing up, and I felt quite confused. Like I think, by all the messages we're given, I think this just counts for a lot of people, like not really understanding myself and why I felt a certain way and why certain things didn't work for me and why people tell you need to be this and that, yet it felt wrong, or I'm like, this just doesn't feel like me. And then looking at my human design, I was like, well, no, no shit, it doesn't. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to swear.
Oh, well, I tell you, I swear all the time.
Like, no shit. Because of course that doesn't, that's not working for me, because it's just not me. And I love that about human design, because I think sometimes I don't think there's anything, try things, experiment. If something doesn't really, don't limit yourself. But at the same time, looking at my design, I'm like, well, no wonder that never worked for me. It's just not me. Why don't I play to my strengths? And I think that's an amazing part of human design, is that it's like, these are your gifts. Like, this is your unique skill set that you've got. Like, play with that, experiment with it, and like share it with the world. And that's when your life's going to change. And so that was kind of a long answer, but there's just so many different things that I love about human design.
It is so true. And what you said there about like not comparing yourself, that is the beauty of something like human design, because it's like, you don't even have to compare yourself, because as you said, you've got gifts. We all have gifts that we can play to instead of playing against. It's like that, and when you can work with it, when you can work with what you've got, you're going to like see so much more come into your life. So we all have a design. that we're born with.
Mm-hmm.
And again, for anybody listening, like, as I say, I've had people that deal with astrology on the podcast as well, and I use bits and bobs of both. Like, I don't just use one or the other. Like, you're using it as a tool. So it's like, and another thing I always say is that, don't get bogged down by it. Don't think, oh my gosh, I've got to do everything by this rule book because otherwise my life isn't going to work out. It's like, it's using your intuition. And actually, funnily enough, one of the things I've learned about being a generator myself is how powerful my intuition actually is. But on that note, before we even get into any of that, I think it's going to be so useful for you to lay out exactly what the designs actually are, because we have now let me get this right. We have generator, we have manifesting generator, projector, reflector, and manifester. Is that right? Is that
yeah, you got them all right.
Amazing. So it would be amazing if you could go in on what these are, so that people listening, because we'll tell you guys as well, like, how you can actually find your design, and because I think you have a resource, don't you, where you can go in and download it, and you can actually look at your design. Now, guys, when you do this, like, if you hit download and you download your design, I will tell you, you're going to be like, what the fuck is going on? It is like this whole like crazy, like, lines and all sorts of different symbols and everything, kind of like when you do download like an astrology chart as well. Don't be alarmed, because we're going to go through it all today, and we're going to like figure out a bit more about it. So it'd be amazing if you could go through each of the designs, so that when people do download their chart and they find out, oh, I'm a generator or I'm a manifesting generator, like, what exactly each of them mean in a roundabout way.
Just like, pause the podcast, get your chart, don't freak out, come back and listen to your bit. Well, that point, actually, human design is actually made up of different systems, and one of them is astrology. So your astrology is tied into human design. So actually, yeah, like, they're definitely interlinked. So let's break them down. So your energy type is how you're here to exchange energy in this lifetime. It's your aura. It's, arguably the most important part of your human design. And so it's really what people feel from you. And so there is the generator. I'm a generator too. And we do make up most of the population.
Yeah.
So it is a known thing. You'll meet a lot of them.
It's so funny, because when just before I hopped onto this interview with you, I was just chatting to one of my friends. She's staying with me at the moment, and she was like, oh, that's so exciting, you're jumping on to talk about human design. She's like, what are you? I said, I'm a generator. But I'll be honest with you, when I found out I was a generator, I was like, oh, why am I so common? I was like, that is so weird. I thought I'd be like a manifester, and I actually got a little bit offended by my chart. I was like, oh, but actually when I read it through and I realized so much of it was me, I was like, whoa, this is like, I felt like how I felt when I read my astrology chart. I was like, this is me down to a T. Like, so yeah, generators are like, do make up most of the population, but we are just as amazing, guys.
We are. And I had the same feeling when I first figured out I was a generator. I was like, oh, it's the common one, what's going on? I want to be a projector or something. But then actually I feel like that's just a process a lot of people go on. Manifestors read their chart and they wish they were a generator, because there's pluses and like challenges that come with every single design. Each of them are as powerful, and also each of them are as capable of manifesting. It's just that they do it in very different ways. And so, a generator, we're really what's known as the life force of the world, because we have a defined sacral, and that sacral gives us life force, gives us consistent energy. The thing I really don't like is that sometimes generators are just called like the worker bees. And the reason why sometimes people call that is because we have actually got the capacity to work a lot when we do what we love. When we find the thing that we love, we can actually do a lot of it. And that's actually really good for us. Work is very important for us, that we are here to do work that we love. For us, our life has to feel enjoyable. It has to feel, we have to desire it. A big thing for generators is to let go of the shoulds, to let go of the things they should do, to let go of their mind. And it's really about creating a life that feels exciting, that feels satisfying, that, honoring that sacral energy that we've got, where like our strategy is to respond, is to respond to life. We don't need to go forcing and making things happen. Things will come to us. And then all we've got to do really is tune into our body's response to those things. So let's say someone tells you something, you're going, that's the generator when they're satisfied and when they're into something. Because I do it all the time. My friend mentioned it to me the other day. she said she did an impression of me. She was like, who am I? Wow. And I was like, me. Because when I'm walking down the street, I'll be like, wow, look at that. Wow. And it's because I can't, it just escapes me. And it's that real sacral, like I'm lit up, I'm excited about this thing. And for generators, it's honoring that. You know, when someone comes to you, let's say it's in business and someone comes to you with, they want to work with you. Well, what's happening in your body? You know, are you feeling physically moved by that? You know, if you were to tell someone about it, would you feel excited telling them, or would you feel like, oh, I'm not really sure?
Yeah.
It's really honoring that and learning to say no as a generator, because we make up so much of the population. You know, we have a huge potential. We have these big auras which actually go out. That's why generators are often sometimes called like magnetic and they pull things to them, is because we have the potential to either spread a lot of satisfaction and a lot of excited, you know, joyful energy, or we can spread a lot of frustration. And unfortunately, a lot of generators in jobs they don't love. And it's such a shame. And that's something that I'm really passionate about, is that, you know, generators, do what you love, like create a life that you love and see your life completely transformed. It's not about what you think is exciting, it's what you feel is exciting.
This is so, and do you know what, for manifesting in general, it all comes from how you feel. And this is why, you know, when I first read my chart and I was like, it's so strange that I'm not a manifester, because I feel like I manifest a lot. Like, you know, I literally coach on it, right? And actually, through, like I said, doing this research into it, it's like, well, actually, no, generators are powerful manifestors for that reason. Like you said, though, only when you are doing what you freaking love and it lights you up from the inside out. Like, one of the things, as well as being like the responder as a generator, I find that I just bounce so much off, like in Q&As and, you know, with my academy calls that I do for my academy, like those group calls that I have, or those like in-person like guest speaking events that I do, oh my gosh, like I am in my vibe when I'm around people that are bouncing off me and kind of like bouncing off my energy. So I totally feel that. And I do believe that when you can just feel it, which is again very intuitive based, like what to you feels right, what to you lights you up, because when you can follow that as a generator, and this is just through my own experience, it's like you can never go wrong. Like you can never go wrong when you follow what feels good to you. So that's really, yeah. And it's interesting that you're that as well, so you feel that too.
I do, and I can really feel that energy from you as well when you're talking about what you do. And this is the thing, generators really need to they have some selfish karma to work through, that putting their desires, their joy, their excitement first is selfish. And the thing is, it's not because you're lifting up the world as you do it. Yeah. Like if you think about this, when you're in your academies and stuff, when you're into that thing, those people are leaving that experience feeling lifted up too.
Like a freaking bad bitch.
Yeah, exactly. So like, it's not, although there's nothing wrong with putting yourself first and having, you know, putting your joy as your number one priority, you're actually, it's not selfish at all, because you may not always realize it, because maybe someone won't tell you, by the way, you lifted me up. But by you standing in your truth and doing what you love, you are lifting other people up, and you're creating life force for the rest of the world. So that's why I always say to any generators who feel like they're not important, I'm like, you are important. Like you're so important. 100%. Each type is so important.
Yeah. And that is as well something that I tell so many of my clients and my students as well, is that, you know, it is not a bad thing to be selfish and follow what it is you desire. It's actually really interesting that you talk about, with the generator, you talk about work and the work base, and actually it being a good thing, because we love the work. We love it when we love what we do, obviously. Because when I found as well, I came into this line of work, podcasting, for example, and coaching with manifestation, like I was lit up. But beforehand, I was slaving away multiple part-time jobs as an out-of-work actor, trying to make my money, and it was so frustrating. So it's really interesting as well with that emotion that comes out of frustration, because I think that as well, anybody listening that is a generator, you'll probably relate to this. Like I have felt that frustration feeling so much, and it's something that I've really worked on and like work on managing in the manifestation process, because it's obviously not the vibe we want to be in, guys. But it is easy to fall into when you're not lit up, isn't it? Like as a generator. So I think that that's something else that's just really important to note, like being able to move through that frustration and know that to follow whatever it is that lights you up, follow that intuition, because that's going to disperse that frustration within you, and it starts to starts to come up as a generator, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that frustration is your friend. Like, you're never going to get rid of it entirely. Like, it's just a signpost. You know, when I feel frustrated now, I'm like, what's not working? Like, how am I using my energy? What have I said yes to that I don't actually really want to do? And so I just use it as a sign. Like, you know, last week I removed a part of my business where I was like, it's just not feeling good to me anymore. I'm dragging myself to do it. And that's a big sign for a generator, because it's also a frustration of energy. So it's like when you feel stuck, stagnant, when the time's going really slowly. Because for when you're into something as a generator, time flies by. And so your not self-theme as a generator is frustration. So just use it as a signpost. I always tell generators, when you're in this process at the beginning, you almost need to do this process of letting go a little bit first before you can start calling the exciting stuff in. It doesn't mean it can't happen at the same time, but I'm like, prioritize letting go of those shoulds, the frustrations first. Be patient, because generators are here to achieve mastery. It doesn't have to be an overnight thing. But let's move on to manifesting generators as well, because I love manifesting generators. So they share elements of the generator with that defined sacral. So really are here to do what they love as well. It's really about following their desires, listening to their body, you know, what feels like a yes, what feels like a no, really honoring that. But they've also got elements of the manifestor, which means that their throat is defined. So for them, you know, manifestors are known for being quick, in terms of like when they've got an urge, they can make it happen very quickly. So manifesting generators have that quickness, and they have that sacral consistent energy. They're the types of people who you look at them and you think, how are they doing so much? And the thing is, they can actually suffer with a lot of conditioning because of that, because people project onto them loads about, you can't do all that. Like, you know, it's like the jack of all trades, master of none. Like, that's something that the type of conditioning they really suffer with, is because people tell them you have to pick one thing. But the thing with being a manifesting generator is that they're here to pick, you know, all the different things that light them up. You know, if they're the types of people who can have a full-time job, a side hustle, you know, all these different hobbies, as long as they all really satisfy them, light them up, give them energy. And so for them, it's like, forget what you're told is like a good career or a good way to have a successful business, a successful career, and actually embrace your too muchness, embrace this like dispersed, expansive energy that you've got, because that's what people are going to be the most attracted to you for. And I get manifesting generators be like, oh, I just think it's going to look too messy if I talk about this on my Instagram. I'm like, but you're a manifesting generator. People won't feel that from you. They want you to be a manifesting generator. They want you to talk about all the things you're into, because that's what makes you you. And so for a manifesting generator, it's like, follow all of your desires. Don't put yourself in one box. Let yourself pursue all of your passions. Your business isn't going to look like someone else's, and that's a good thing. And so for them, it's like, on the same, you know, at the same time as that, they have to give themselves permission just to pick things up and drop them. You know, obviously following their strategy and authority, in terms of like, don't just drop something just because someone tells you to drop it because you genuinely don't feel like it's working, because it's frustrating you. But ultimately, they're the types of people who, like, they can be doing one thing one week, and then the next week they're like, you know what, I'm not into that, let's try something else. And that's correct for them. And so, you know, manifesting generators can, I find, sometimes be the most misunderstood in terms of that, because people are like, how the hell are they doing that? But because they're so quick, because they've got that like really fired up sacral throats, you know, energy, the quickness, they actually can do it all, and they can do it all really well. So yeah, I love manifesting generators.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And because I always wondered like how connected they really were, like with generator and manifest. Is it a complete mixture of the two, or is it like a just entirely separate thing? Like, is it a complete mixture with them both?
So fundamentally, there can be a bit of misconception in human design, where like people then say that their not self is anger. I personally go by the founder of human design, who actually classes manifesting generators in the generator group. So he's like, fundamentally they're generators, but they have this element to them, which is that quickness of the manifester. So fundamentally, if you're going to look at most of it, it's like, really, if you're a manifesting generator, you are at your core a generator, but you've got this amplified different side to you, which can do all these different things, which can pick things up and experiment and drop them in, which is quicker. So you're not necessarily here to become like a master of one thing. You're here to experiment and play and embrace all the things that you love. But they have, yes, there's, you know, within human design and different people who teach it, it's not to discredit it and say that it's necessarily wrong. But I feel like you can then end up going down all these different layers and actually coming away from like the fundamentals of it, which are like, your not self as a manifesting generator is frustration. And so that's the sign for you, that you're out of alignment, that maybe you're saying yes to things you don't want to do, you're forcing yourself to, you know, keep going with something that actually doesn't work for you, doesn't feel good, and you're limiting your potential. And again, like your signature satisfaction. So when you're doing what you love, you're going to feel really, really satisfied.
Yeah. Do you know, actually, this is a good point to bring up before we carry on, is the not self and the signature. Just because we've mentioned it a couple of times, like as we said before, as a generator, my not self is frustration. As you said, manifesting generators are the same. And that as well is just, guys listening, is like how you can use it as a tool. Because if you are feeling frustration, let's say for example as a generator, like that goes to show that you aren't going down the path that is truly right for you, like in some way, however big or small. And you can just use it as a, again, it's to be more in tune with your intuition and what is right for you as a person. So as we go on and we talk about the not self, and we talk about what was the other one, not self and
signature,
that can show us more about ourselves as well. So for a generator and a manifesting generator, is it both satisfaction is the signature?
Yeah, so that's the signature. And the signature is what you'll feel when you're in alignment, when you're using your energy correctly, when you're moving through life as you, like that's how good it can feel, you know. And then your not self is what you feel when you're out of alignment. And so for you, it's just you never get rid of it, but you can work through it. And it's basically just forever in your life going to be your prompt where you're like, oh, okay, what's going on here? Just need to reevaluate how I'm using my energy, how I'm moving through the world. And so it's not that you, at the beginning of human design, I was like, I'm never going to be frustrated again. I was like, okay, that's not true. But I can clear out, but I can clear out the, you know, the excess of it. And the thing that I like to say is that if you think about your aura, because your human design, your energy type is your aura. And when it comes to manifesting, if your aura is full up of that not self, so whether it's frustration, anger, disappointment, you know, bitterness, there's not much room for anything else to come in. And if you want all of these good opportunities, these like exciting, fun things that feel really aligned for you to come in, you do need to make some space for it. So you do need to clear out that stuff that isn't you, clear out that not self. And that's a big key to manifesting with your human design, actually.
100%. I was just about to say, because that's a big thing that I talk about is making space for your manifestations to come in. So yeah, if you are operating in that not self, you've just got so much stagnant energy in you that is not making any room for those amazing things that we want in our life. So so then should we move on to projector?
Yes, let's move on to projectors. So the first two types, generators and manifesting generators, they have that defined sacrals. They're known as, you know, energy beings because they have consistent life force energy. Projectors, manifestors, and reflectors don't have a defined sacral. So they're sometimes known as non-energy beings. Right. So doesn't mean they don't have energy, but it's just they don't. It's a different process. So for projectors, they are very much here to guide. You know, they're the types of people who their aura is very focused and like very like hones in on the other. So projectors are the types of people who see people very clearly, see things very clearly. So that's where the guide part of it comes in, where like they can really see what's not working and they can give really amazing advice and wisdom based on that. So for a projector, it's really important for them to let go of the conditioning of trying to be a generator, you know, because there are so many of us in the world.
Very interesting.
It's very likely they're going to be conditioned. You know, generators are conditioned to be like manifestors, to go after what they want and make it happen. And projectors are conditioned to be like generators, like, you know, you're lazy, come on, you got to work more, you got to do this. But actually, for projectors, it's not about working a lot. It's about really working with their energy. And ideally for a projector, it's like, you know, you can do physical work a couple of hours a day, spend the rest of the time guiding, you know, learning, resting. And they've got to really learn that that's not lazy, that's not a bad thing. It's how they're really healthy and it's how they actually attract what they really want. For projectors, I'm like, it's really important for you to curate your energy because their strategy is to wait for the invitation. Like generators and manifesting generators, they're also not here to initiate. They're not here to make things happen for themselves. They're really here to be healthy, to release the bitterness, to take care of themselves, to do the things that they really enjoy, to play. And the invitations will come to them. They'll be recognized as the guide. People come to them and be like, hey, can I work with you on this? Or like, oh, do you know much about this? Or like, and what do you think about that? And that's when a projector feels success, which is their signature. And if they're not, they're going to feel bitterness. And unfortunately, I think bitterness is like not a very like societally attractive, you know, emotion. And so I think sometimes, you know, projectors can struggle with that in terms of like really owning it. But your bitterness will feel how it feels for you, but ultimately for projectors, when they're in that mode of being recognized as the guide and opportunities come to them, which they're going to pull to them by working with their energy and taking really good care of themselves, that's going to feel like success for them. And a projector can feel success like nobody else. But then if they're forcing it on people and they're making things happen, you're going to feel bitterness. Like I've got a friend who's looking for a new job, and she's like, yeah, I've messaged all these people and nothing's coming back. And I'm like, that's the pushing. That's the pushing and the pushing. For you, it's about being visible, curating your energy, making yourself like really energetically like strong and thriving. You're going to pull the things to you. Your aura is going to pull them to you. You don't need to like force it.
So
I love projectors.
Yeah, projectors are kind of that definition of really dropping into your feminine, like doing the prep work, doing the preparation around your energy, but then just dropping back into the feminine and letting it freaking come to you, like allowing yourself to receive it, which is kind of one of the final bits of manifestation. So that's really interesting about that. It's kind of like, if you know you're a projector and you can feel the bitterness coming up, stop pushing, stop doing, stop taking so much action around the thing, and it's probably going to sit back and then come to you in that way. That's very interesting, actually. And so the projector, the next one, reflector. Tell me
let's do the manifestor next actually, because the manifestor are like, the reflector is actually the rarest one. So maybe because that will be like a separate thing in itself. But so the manifestor, I say this about every job. I'm like, love manifestors. I'm like, I love projectors. I do. So manifestors they have a defined throat. For them, it's about their throat. That's even their strategy, is to inform. So for them, using their voice, communicating is very important for them. And the reason why they're called manifestors is because the throat center is really about manifesting. It's about speaking things into existence, about communicating. And actually, when they learn to use their throat, they can actually make things happen very quickly in their world. But a lot of manifestors have a lot of issues around using their voice, and they don't want to tell people what they're up to. Not always. So manifestors are really here to get things in motion, to start things. They're the only type who have the power to initiate, to make things happen, to start. They tend to be very like innovative. They tend to be the types of people who like can really like start a movement, get stuff going, do something very unique and something other people haven't done before. Sometimes they can, be a little bit controversial because they say the things that other people don't want to say. But, as long as they're doing that with good intentions and from, their truth, then they are going to push some people away maybe, but those people aren't aligned for them, because the manifestor aura is actually called repelling. And that's basically because your aura is doing your work for you as a manifestor. It's kind of pushing the people away that aren't aligned for you. But a lot of manifestors can really struggle with that, because if you think about growing up around those generators who maybe seem to have this different thing to you, whereas maybe your aura is repelling some people, you may then start to feel rejected. Like, why isn't this working for me? Why am I different? But that's where lies your power, because manifestors are the types of people who like, maybe you're not for everyone, but the people that you're for in a big way, and people will feel your power. And so it's so important for manifestors to speak their truth, to use their voice, because their strategy is to inform. In theory, probably the most simple strategy, because all they've got to do is speak. But there's a lot of conditioning wrapped up around that. And for them, manifestors can be these kind of lone wolves. They love to do things on their own. They can make things happen very quickly on their own, but then they've got to learn to start telling people, start using their voice, be like, hey, I'm doing this. Because if you think about it, that's how you get people on board. That's how you get people into your world, is by actually telling them. If you don't tell people, that's when you're not going to manifest anything, because nothing is coming to you. So if any manifestors are listening, inform, tell people about what you're doing, tell people about your movements, what you're excited about, what you're into, because then people will be like, I want to join you for the ride. Like, I want to be in your world. So you have to use your voice. But manifest is not self, is anger. Right. Again, not a societally accepted one in terms of, an angry woman, or if there are any men listening, angry men. So it's not necessarily societally accepted, but it's really important for a manifestor to acknowledge that. They don't need to go around telling people that they're angry, but it's about acknowledging it and processing it. Don't let that anger eat away at you, because with everything with your not self, it can cause you health problems as well. It's not going to feel good in your body. It's not going to feel good, in your world, in your life. And so for them, working through their anger and then coming back to that peace, because peace is what they get when they live their life for themselves, when they're in their power, speaking their truth, moving through life as themselves, starting things, following their urges, because manifestors don't need an external sign to make things happen. They have everything inside, in terms of like, they'll get an urge to be like, oh, I want to start this program, let me start it. And they can do it just like that. they have to follow their authority as well. But manifestors can make things happen very quickly, but because they're not an energy being, they then need to pull back. So it's like express that urge, get that thing done for an hour or two, pull back and rest. And they need to really learn that that's like their process. Same with projectors, like working in short bursts and then pulling back.
Yes. And it's so interesting because for anybody in that aren't these, because as you said, generators and manifesting generators, they're the energetic ones. Is that what you said? Yeah. So and they're the ones that naturally find it easier to work. So for anybody that isn't one of them, don't look at these people and go, I've got to be doing what they're doing because that's how I'm going to be successful, because there is clearly a very different way for you guys to work to make it work for you. So I think that's really interesting, really informative. So then for reflectors, these are the least common, is that right?
Only 1% of the population.
Wow.
I've just realized what I've done is in the order we've gone in, it's been in the order I do my Instagram posts.
Is it?
I don't know why it's always that order for me. Okay, so reflectors are only 1% of the population. They're super rare. I've met a couple of reflectors, like knowingly. Obviously, I maybe have met more in my life, but not known it because maybe I didn't know human design then. But as a reflector, your chart is totally open. So, we spoke about the human design chart. It's called the body graph. And you have 9 energy centers, and a reflector will have them completely open. So that means that they don't necessarily have this really strong, consistent energy of their own, but they're really here to feel and amplify the energy of other people. It doesn't mean they have nothing within them, that they don't have any sense of self. That's not what it is, but it's about, in terms of that really consistent energy center type of energy, they get that from other people and they reflect that back. So for them, they're the types of people who can feel the other like nobody else really. When you're around a reflector, you'll really see yourself in them and you'll feel quite at ease with them in terms of that, because they're the types of people who make amazing healers, because their health is a direct indication of the health of the people around them, because they're going to feel all of your stuff, whether it's your fear, whether it's your stress, whether it's your emotional heaviness. For reflectors, it's really important for them, their strategy is to wait 28 days in terms of making any type of decision. And I've spoken with a reflector before who's like, I find that quite easy now. She's like so in line with it. Then I work with other reflectors who are like, it's really hard. Difficult. Because they have so much other energy around them. So much conditioning. Wherever you're opening your chart, so much conditioning. And so for reflectors, it's really about finding that balance between, you need to be in society because you've got this potential to really heal, see, guide the other, like really help people and improve the health of society. But then you've got this other side of you which needs to take care of yourself and be alone as well. So you definitely need a balance of both. But for reflectors, it's really important, because they haven't got this really consistent like knowing within them. They need to flow. They're the types of people who are here to flow with life and don't hold on to one specific path, one specific, okay, I need to be here in a year, that's what's going to make me happy, because then they're going to feel they're not self of disappointment. And that's really about like that disappointment of like, oh, this didn't work out how I hoped it would. Well, then you need to let go a little bit and trust that like you're going to go exactly where you need to go, because your signature is surprise. Like how surprising life can be when you really just flow with you. It's really cool. Like for them, it's like that kind of surprise and delight of like, oh my God, I've got goosebumps actually saying that, because like I just love telling reflectors that, because I'm like, if you let go a little bit and you don't rush your process, like let's say it's moving into a new house, trust that 28 days it's not maybe normal, like maybe whoever's helping you look at your houses, or maybe your friend or your partner's going to be like, bloody hell, that's really long. But that's how you're going to get the experiences that you're meant for. And that's how you're not going to end up feeling disappointed. Because imagine if you rush into something, then a week later this amazing thing comes up, and 2 weeks later you feel disappointed because you didn't wait, you weren't patient. And so patience is a real practice for them to learn, not giving into external pressures, and actually learning to stand up for themselves a little bit and just be like, hey, I'm not ready to make a decision yet, or no, I need some more time. And really, because they have got that real openness, they tend to be very likable people, like people want to be around them. But then they need to learn as well to not self-sacrifice and trust that their process is their process. It doesn't need to make sense to anybody else, but they know that when they experiment with it, it can feel so good, like how fun and surprising life can be.
That's so exciting. And I think because we live in such a fast-paced society, with people, even in my community, when we're manifesting things, it can be like, oh my God, like I want this and I want this and I want this and I want this. And it's like, well, actually like allowing yourself to just accept that time and trust and everything like that. And as you say, like standing up for yourself in that sense as a reflector and being like, well, you know what, like I need more time and that's okay. You know, I think that's so important. Again, a lot of this actually is just as a collective, just really dropping into the feminine, because I think that as well, generators, I mean, I just know personally, one of the things that we can get caught up in because we do love our work is just overworking and burnout and stress and feeling that. And so with a lot of the designs, it's really about sitting back and actually seeing how you work and moving with that. On that note, with each of these designs, can we have like a quick run through of the best way to lean into that, like for a generator, lean into the satisfaction, like what maybe are the best things that each design can do that will benefit them basically in moving out of their not self?
Okay, I'll give like a couple of tips for each. So when it comes to being a generator, what I always tell my clients to do, create 2 lists. The first list is every single thing in your life, your business, because they're interlinked. There is a should, an expectation, something you don't really want to do, something that feels frustrating, time goes really slowly, you're dragging yourself to do it. And be brutally honest, because this process, for it to work, you have to be really honest with yourself. Like you said, it's a tool. It shouldn't be something that you like strictly manage your life by, but it should be something that supports you. But I'm like, at the beginning, be really honest. You know, don't be like, oh no, but you know what, I kind of enjoy that. Do you enjoy it or don't you enjoy it?
Yeah,
Because it's that simple, really. Do you want to do it? Yes or no?
Yes.
If it's I don't know, then it's a no.
It's a
at
no.
least for now.
If it's
at
not
least for
a
now.
whole body yes, it is a no. Yeah.
Exactly. It doesn't mean you have to like, you know, break up a friendship if a friend's in there, but maybe you should take some time from that person. You take a little bit of space, pull it back to yourself. Okay, so that's the first list. The second list is everything that physically moves you. That your eyes are lighting up. You know, it's like now, like my hands are moving, my eyes. I'm really excited. So that's the stuff where like you're excited, you desire it. Like maybe it's a dream that you just can't take. You know, you can't take your mind off it. Or you know, when you're doing that thing, you just time flies by really quickly. Like it's really satisfying to you. Everything that second list. And then it's okay if the first list is longer, but start to work through that first list. You know, start to look at it and be like, you know, maybe it's that you go see your in-laws every Friday, but you don't really enjoy it. And it's an expectation. It's like, well, can you go every other Friday? Or do you have to do it? So just be really honest with yourself. And this whole process is about being healthily selfish. And it's not selfish at, you know, I was watching a video with Ryu, who the founder, literally just this morning, and he was like, it's not, he said something which really resonated with me, which is like, it's not selfish at the expense of anybody. No. It's selfish. It's basically like a healthy selfishness for you.
It's setting a standard for you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's better to meet people as you are and as your true self. And if that true self is you saying no to something, it's better for that person, because then you're not entering that thing feeling frustrated. Absolutely. And then they're going to feel that from you. Like, that's why if something doesn't work in my business, I'd rather actually disappoint a client by maybe saying, you know what, I don't feel like this is right for us, versus bringing that frustration with them for the next couple of months. They can go find someone who's more aligned for them, or will feel really satisfying for them as well. So it's like trusting that whenever you put yourself first, you're actually setting the other free as well.
Yes, that is such a good way of putting it, actually, because I think that's one thing, because it's funny, we spoke about opening throat chakra for, I think it was for manifesting generators or manifestors, I can't remember, but for me, one of the things that has really helped in my design has been opening up that throat and just being like, as you said before, being able to say no, set strong boundaries. One of the biggest things for me that I'm very good at now is setting strong boundaries, making sure that whoever I have in my business, for example, whoever I'm collaborating with, whoever I'm taking on as a client, even, you know, like I've turned away thousands of pounds before from people wanting to work with me, simply because I know that our relationship wouldn't be the strongest it could be. And therefore, as you say, I don't want to be working 4 months of my life in frustration over that, you know, and it serves both me and the other person. So I think that's, so writing those lists out then and kind of going, okay, what are the things that I could be saying no more to, setting more boundaries over, and then what are the things that light me up?
Yeah, and that's a really good point what you said about that. It's never just money. It's time, it's energy, it's potential frustration. And so that's something generator learning to say no, and just really tuning into a big thing. Okay, one other thing I'll tell generator is that when it comes to responding. It's not what you think. We mentioned this before, but sometimes like repeating things can like really help it like sink in. It's not what you think is satisfying, what you think is exciting. So let's say something comes to you like, oh, okay, well, I think that would be good. No, that's the wrong track. It's what is happening in your body right now. You know, let's say someone comes to you and they're like, hey, like, do you want to do this weekend? It's like, oh yeah, that's the yes, like that's the thing you really want to do. And then again, like if you need to wait a little bit, like sleep on it or something, but if your body's literally going like, that's a no. So it's tune into your body
feeling.
It's not what you think is exciting, it's what you feel in your body. So that's a big thing I'll tell generators. Say no, make those lists, clear out space, clear out that frustration. And it's okay if you're not where you are now. With human design and with everything, I'm like, let's say you're on a job you don't love, but right now you need it, then you need it. That's okay. Like, this can be a bridge for you. This can be a bridge to get you to where you want to be. Or don't look at, you know, don't shame yourself for where you're at, but then make a plan. Like, look at it and be like, okay, cool, well, I'm going to start really, in the spare time I do have, maybe you're in a full-time job you don't enjoy, I'm going to do the things I really love, and I'm going to show myself how good it can feel, and then gradually work your way to the job or whatever it is that, you know, feels really good for you. So that's for generators. That's what I'd say. And for manifesting generators, I would say make the same list. So make the same list when it comes to your frustration. Make those 2 lists. Be really honest with yourself. And then a big thing I tell manifesting generators is that, are you limiting yourself? So are you telling yourself that you can't do this extra thing, that you can't start this extra project because maybe, you know, you won't have enough time, you won't have enough energy? I'm like, you will. If you love that thing, you'll have enough time, you'll have enough energy. That's just a fact. It's a mechanical thing. You will make the time, you will have the energy, because when you're into what you love, you will manifest that energy for it, and you'll make it happen, and you'll do it to, you know, the standard that's right for you. So that's something I would tell them, is be really honest, because actually manifesting generators can suffer with thyroid problems if they are not doing, because it's really linked to that throat, if they're not doing enough of what they love. They actually need to do all those different things, because if they're not, they're creating this buildup of energy within their body, which can cause problems. So for them, it's like, you need to express all these different things. Let's say you've wanted, this is so random, but knitting or something. Just why that came to me. But I think maybe it's because you're wearing a jumper. That just came to me. But let's say you've always wanted to do knitting. But actually, this is really funny. I've just said that. My nan's a manifesting generator, and she actually wants to go to a knitting class. Okay, that's where it's come from. Okay, so, you know, let's say you've wanted to do this for ages, but you're telling yourself, I just won't have the time. Go to the class, or go, you know, do the thing and experiment and see how it feels. I bet you're going to feel, do the thing,
guys,
try,
do the thing.
Try it.
This is something I am raving about a lot of the time. It's like, just do the thing, take the risk, go and experiment with it. Like, at the end of the day, it might not work, but also it really might work. And then you move into satisfaction, or whatever it is what is for the manifesting generator. Like, it's
the same satisfaction.
Yeah, massively.
I love that. Do the thing, experiment, just try it, because even then it's done. If you don't love it, done. You're going to stop thinking about it. You're opening up space for something else. But then if you do love it, well, that's going to feel really, really good. And who knows what will come from it? Maybe going to that class, you're going to end up meeting someone that you're meant to meet. Or maybe you're going to end up having a conversation that's going to completely change the trajectory of your life. So it's like, just trusting in that stuff. Okay. And then projectors, what I would tell them is clear out the bitterness. So look at your life, be really honest. Just basically with those lists, it's kind of doing that with everything, right? Like with every energy type, clear out the you're not self, work on that. But as a projector, what I'd ask them is, are you trying to be a generator? That's the question I always ask them. Is like, are you trying to be a generator? Are you trying to do instead of leaning into that being and guiding? And so that's something I would tell them. And I would really say to them that, you know, what you see is really important, the way you see the world. And so what is it that you see really clearly? What is it that you feel really pulled and called to improve? You know, is there a system? Is there, let's say it's you're a coach and you really see how people keep themselves in fear. Go into that, explore that a little bit. So it's just like, what do you see really clearly? What is it that you really want to improve? Is there a system? Is there a type of work that you're just like, oh, I really see how I can make this more efficient? You know, lean into that. Because as a projector, you know, with every energy type, the type of work you do is important, but it's not about the type of work that looks good. It's what feels good for you. It doesn't matter what the work is. So that's what I tell projectors. And I tell them, you know, sleep is really important for projectors. Rest is really important. You know, a little tip for projectors is get into bed like an hour before you go to sleep. You shouldn't be resting when you're exhausted. You should be resting when you are, it's just managing your energy. You rest before you're exhausted. So that's the thing for projectors. And then for manifestors, I would say, you know, are you living your life for you? Do you feel in your power? Do you feel like you're starting things? Do you feel like you're starting things that you want to do? Do you feel like you are living your life for you, or are you living it for someone else? Because that's very important for a manifestor. They have to feel like they've got autonomy, and that's when they're going to feel the peace. And are you listening to yourself? Are you looking for external signs to do the thing, or are you looking within yourself? Because that's how you don't need to respond. You don't need to wait for an invitation. You literally just need to have that internal urge, and that's how you act on it. So that's something I would tell. And don't deny your anger, because I know it's not a very like societally attractive emotion, but it's valid. And it's actually your friend. It's nothing to be shamed. You know, I have a manifestor friend. Oh yeah, go on, sorry.
No, I was just about to say, like, I think that's a really great point that you bring up about not, you know, don't get angry with the anger. Like, you know, don't get frustrated with the frustration. Like I tell my clients a lot of the time, like, when you're layering emotion on top of emotion, there's no way you're going to get rid of that. You know, there's no way you're going to raise your vibe. So it is actually just kind of coming to terms with it and going, it's not like a bad thing. That's your not self. It's okay. Like, don't get frustrated over whatever you're feeling, and kind of make friends with it in a way. Like, I think that's a really good point. Yeah,
because you can't change yourself. You actually can't change you can obviously change, you know, elements of yourself in terms of like progressing and developing, but you can't change your core energy. So if you're a manifestor, you can't change that you're going to feel anger when you're out of alignment. Absolutely. So don't fight it. Just lean into it and be like, well, what is actually making me angry right now? And how can I work through it? It's my manifestor client said last week, she was like, it's her marker. But when she was growing up, she was told, call it something else because that's more attractive. Like, call it frustration. When she's like, no, it's anger. Like, I'm angry. And I'm going to now work through it. And I'm going to spend the next like 20 minutes or whatever. I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to clear it out. And then I'm going to be like, cool, how am I going to move forward?
It's being hyper aware, because this literally only just happened to me this morning, where something made me a little bit frustrated and I vented to my friend who's staying with me. And I afterwards, like after I vented, I was like, oh, I was frustrated. Sorry about that. I'm aware of it. Let's go and sort this out. It's just about managing the vibe. As I always say, it's not about being high vibe and being this like other version of you that like the whole time, because we're not a robot. It's just about managing it when it comes up, which is why I think human design is so exciting. Where were we up to? I've forgotten.
Reflectors. The last one.
Yeah.
So some tips I would give reflectors is, you're only 1% of the population, right? Like, you're unique. So don't feel like you need to follow other people's, you know, their quickness. You don't need to follow their path. You don't need to do things the way other people are doing. Own the fact that you're so unique, and own that you've got this really unique process and way of moving through the world. And what I say for them is really like, find that balance between taking really good care of yourself, because you need that healthy alone time, but then also make sure that you're actually in with people. But something I always tell reflectors is, do a good energy cleanse when you come home, because let's say you've been out in the world and you're taking in so much stuff that can then actually impact you, because then you're going to be sitting at home with somebody else's emotion inside you and then try to make a decision. So what I'd say is, do some kind of energy cleanse, whether it's like journaling, whether it's breath work, whether it's just shaking your body out, having a nice bath and like doing some meditation or something. But like, every energy type, do some kind of cleanse when you're around other people, and that's so much fun and you can bounce off that energy. But if you know you've got some openness, come home and just be like, whew, okay, I'm releasing all energy.
Sage yourself. Sage the shit out of yourself. Yes.
Literally, I'm like, let it go.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this has been so interesting, and I hope that as well, people listening, you're kind of like, you're understanding, when you've been listening to your design, you've been understanding how it can then help you manifest in your life, in your career, how it can help you, you know, with other relationships. And I think that this is another question that I want to ask you. With the different design types, which ones work best together? Like, is there ones that work better together? You know, like say if you're in a business partnership or if you're in your career or even in love and relationships, is there anything like that, or is it kind of the same?
Yeah, technically, you know, they are, you know, there are types that work best together, but at the same time, I think we're all meant to intermix in some ways, you know, because I've got, you know, generators and manifestors technically sometimes shouldn't work that well together. A couple of my closest friends are manifestors and same. So, I mean, what I'd say is, when it comes to working with people. I mean, I think type on type tends to work pretty well. Like generally, like if you're working with a type, it's because you'll understand your process, kind of helps you understand theirs a little bit more. So let's say you've got two generators working together. Well, you both know that you're going to feel frustrated and satisfied. So it's like both need to do what you love. So you can be like, cool, you do this, you do that. And I think that any type can work together. I think any type can be together. But I think it's really important to understand the other person, whether that's through knowing their human design or asking them questions. But it's so important because let's say a generator and a manifestor are together. Well, you know that manifestor, you know, they need to be in charge. They do need to be in charge, and they're probably, if they're not going to feel in charge, they're going to feel angry. And so for them, it's like they're probably, you know, and for you as a generator, you need to do what you love, and you shouldn't be sacrificing that. So it's really about being able to really openly communicate with each other. But if we're going to go deeper, there's other layers with human design compatibility where you've obviously got your energy centers, and between energy centers, there are channels, and those are like themes of energy. That's where you've got like really your powerful gifts and skills and like things that you're going to live out in your life and what people can really feel from you. And in human design compatibility, whether it's friendship or whatever, you've got different types of energy. So, you know, if someone has half of a channel and you have half, and it comes to meet, that's like attraction. That's where you'll feel like an electromagnetic pull towards someone. And it's fascinating when you look into that. And then let's say you have a channel and someone has half of that channel, which is called a gate. That's actually going to cause some friction because you've got that full expression of that energy. They've got half of it, and maybe they're going to try to be that full thing, but you need to be allowed to be that full thing.
Interesting.
And then there's like dominance where you've got the full energy and then someone doesn't. So it's just really interesting. It's like looking at someone's chart and being like, they have this, I don't. So I'm going to let them be that full thing. They're going to bring that to the relationship. So one of my friends in Mexico City is a projector. She has a defined G center, which is all about direction. She also has this channel, which is all about like leading and guiding. So when we're together, I let her totally call the shots with the direction. I'm like, where do you want to go today? And she's like, let's go here. And I'm like, I love it because that's not really what I'm here to do. I'm not really here to be that like, you know, really strong on my direction and knowing exactly where I want to go. But I trust her. And if I don't want to go, I'll tell her I don't want to go. But I'm like, I let you be all that you are. And then I bring my skills to the relationship, my gifts and my power. And we just complement each other because I'm not trying to be you. You're not trying to be me. And we let each other be ourselves. And there's a quote in Human Design, Rahu, who said, which is like, what is it? I can't remember exactly, but it's like when you allow someone to be themselves and they allow you to be yourself, that's love. Anything else is torture.
That is so true. That is so true. And you know what? I see this a lot when I'm coaching my clients because everybody, and I say this right at the beginning of like, let's say if anybody comes into my academy, it's like, we're all going to be doing this in a different way. There's no blueprint to manifestation because we're all doing it in a different way. And like we said, we all have a different design. We all have different charts. Like we all have different ways of working. And I think without even knowing that, because it's not like you can know everybody's chart. It's not like you can know everybody's design just by like seeing them. That would be weird. But like just by like asking the right questions and finding out about them, because all my clients work in so many different ways. And it's not going to be the same for me as it is for one of my clients or another one of my clients. And I think it's so important, actually, anybody that is in a service-based business to look into this and know that about the people that they're leading and working with, but also in friendships, you know, understanding that, because I know people that do get angry and I know people that do fall into frustration. And it's like, if you know that more about them, then like, as you said, you work perfectly together. So it is all about learning this tool, like with anything in life, to know more about yourself, to understand yourself to a whole new level and understand others, so that it's just the smoothest freaking journey ever. Like, so you don't have to work hard. You don't have to be in your not self. Like you can just have the smoothest journey and call in the things that you want to call in, which is why I think the whole of this human design is so fascinating and something that everybody is raving about at the moment and everybody should look into. So on that note, actually, Sophie, where can people like get in touch with you and find you, and what kind of offers do you have for people? Do you do readings for people? Because I know that these charts, when you do get them, like we said, it can be freaking confusing. And do you go in on that with people? And yeah, let us know where we can find you.
Firstly, I wanted to say that I feel like the way you speak about everybody having their unique process is amazing. And I feel like that's a real like gift to your clients. because it sounds like you really understand that like everybody's different. The way I manifest isn't going to be exactly the same as you.
Absolutely.
But so I really love the way you talk about that, by the way your clients are really fortunate. In terms of where to find me, I'm at Sophie Louise Coaching on Instagram. At the moment, I'm not offering one-to-one readings, but in the future I may bring them back. But I've got loads of resources on my Instagram in terms of, have a look through all my posts. There's like loads
so much
about
in
your
there.
energy type.
Girl, I'm going on your profile and I'm like going down a hole. I'm like, this is so interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there. And so I am a human design teacher. So I actually teach human design to other business owners and also people who just really want to learn it. So it's called the HD way. I'm teaching level 1 at the moment, which is like the foundations of human design. Yeah. And so I'm going to be opening up a new enrollment in the new year. So if that's something people are interested in, definitely like get into my space and have a look. I'm also a business mentor as well, and I use human design to help online business owners really craft their business in a way that feels really good to them, really honoring their unique powers. So if that sounds good, come check me out. If not, just be there for the human design content. I talk about it a lot because I'm obsessed.
Yes, and we love that. And guys, I'm as usual going to link all the links in my show notes so you can go and click and give Sophie a follow. Go and show the love over on Instagram. Take a little screenshot of this episode and tag us both on your Instagram stories because we love seeing that and we love posting that. So, and I hope that you guys have actually because this, honestly, Sophie, when I say has been such a requested episode. It's so funny. I put a poll up on my Instagram story literally the other day being like, what do people want to hear about next? And I had about 4 people message and be like, what about human design? And I was like, I am already on it. So I can't wait to bring this episode out for everybody. And I hope that let us know, in the DMs how you found it. And any questions, go ahead and follow Sophie. But thank you so much for being on, Sophie. I hope that you have a lovely rest of the day in Mexico City, because that's where you're at right now. And I'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you, Jessica. I've loved this conversation and being in our generator energy. Yeah. So thank you.
Amazing. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend who you think would love it too. And if you want to let me know how you found it, just screenshot this episode, add it to your Instagram story, and tag me at @IamJessicaPaul so that I can throw all the love right back at you. And of course, subscribe, hit those 5 stars, and leave a review to show your support and to keep the good stuff coming. Sending you so much love and gratitude from your girl Jess.